Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a recent purchases update video. I did one of these about 6 months ago and I said if you guys enjoyed it then I would try and do these on a semi-regular basis, and a lot of you really seem to like it. So that is what I'm going to do. I have 6 items here to talk about, 5 of which are bags and 1 pair of shoes, and I'm just going to be going through them, how I'm getting along with them, how I'm liking them, and any pros and cons that I've discovered so far. So I hope you guys enjoy this and I'm gonna get started. So up first is my Saint Laurent tote, and I do have another video on this. I have a video comparing it to my Louis Vuitton Neverfull MM and also my Tory Burch Perry tote. So if you're interested in seeing a comparison between those 3, then I'll link that video down below. I actually got this for my birthday in August, so I think I did that video about 6 weeks after, so I had used it then, but obviously I've used it a lot more now. It's been quite a few months, and I did mention in that video that my biggest issue with this bag was that the interior marked a lot. So whatever I put in there, and I don't put particularly sharp things inside my bags, I don't think, so it's more like kind of a pouch which has maybe a zipper on it or makeup or something like that. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it does scuff really easily. So there are lots of little white marks, and that kind of bothered me, and that was the biggest thing I'd noticed about the bag. In terms of the exterior though, it has done pretty well. There's really only 1 mark that I can see, which is just in the corner there. I don't really know how I got it there, and to be honest, the exterior leather is fairly durable, I think. My biggest issue with it though is that, not that it marks like crazy, because it doesn't, but if you do get something on the bag, it seems to be very difficult to get the marks off. So whereas something like my Perry tote, I can get marks on there, and because it is that type of pebbled leather, it seems to be very easy to clean, whereas that really isn't the case with this bag. Since then, I've also managed to spill something on the inside, and I have been known to carry juices and drinks in my bags. I don't think I carried anything like that in this bag though, and so I don't know what this stain is from. It's still a complete mystery to me, but you can see it's right there in the bottom. It's very big and very ugly. I tried to clean it and wipe it down and it seems to have absolutely no effect, so it's still a total mystery to me. I'm quite sad that it happened, but I also don't know how it happened. It's not as if I spilled, you know, a yogurt in there or something. So again, a bit of a mystery, and the fact that it does seem to mark up so easily is a bit of a disappointment to me. I would have preferred a lining that was, you know, more wipe clean like a lot of my tote bags are. This is obviously the untreated leather, and so it does mark up really easily, and I feel like that could have been really easily rectified by Saint Laurent. So I'm a bit disappointed about that. It's still a very beautiful bag, and I do hear that the other colours are much less easy to mark than this one, so maybe it's just this particular colour. I do still think it's beautiful, and you know, I love the little stamping. I think it's very elegant, and especially as far as totes go, I think this is a gorgeous choice, but I am a little bit disappointed by how easily it seems to wear. So I can't say I fully recommend this bag. If you're absolutely in love with it, I would say perhaps look at other colours and go into store and see if they mark up as easily, but yeah, so a bit of a mixed bag with this one. I can't say it's a huge success. Obviously I got it as a gift though, so I'm very grateful, and I won't sell it because of that, but that is something to keep in mind if you are considering splurging, because it's not the cheapest of bags. It's still £650 I think, which for a tote bag is a lot. So yeah, it's cute, but it definitely has flaws. Next up is the other bag that I got at the same time. So this is the Chloe Drew, and I actually bought this myself. I spoke about this pretty recently in my best and worst purchases of 2016, and this actually made the cut as one of the best purchases, and I completely stand by that. I absolutely love this bag. I think it's really beautiful. It does actually have similarly untreated leather as the Saint Laurent tote, but because this isn't exactly an everyday bag for me, it's not something that is going to face a lot of spillage or anything like that. So it is very carefree and fuss-free. Not carefree, it's very fuss-free on the inside, I should say, so not a whole lot going on, and you just have the raw untreated leather, and it's just pretty simple, but it's also quite an interesting bag. You know, I love the little features, like you have the lock right there and then you can just turn it to lock it. I think that's such a neat feature, and it's something very distinctive. You know, I can't think of any bags that really look like this, and I love how unique it is, and it has been around for quite a while now, so I'm so thrilled with this. It was the first time that I bought a Chloe bag in a really long time, and I've just been so impressed with it, and I've loved everything from the aesthetic to the functionality. You know, it's a lot better than I thought it was. I thought it would be a bit of a hassle to wear, to be honest, but it really hasn't been. So I've been loving it. I haven't had any colour transfer issues at all. I haven't worn this so much with jeans. I have once or twice though, and no colour transfer issues. I can't say enough good things about it really. It's just the prettiest bag. I love that it looks like jewellery, and it's just totally stunning, and I do think it's worth the money. So this is priced at £1,050. This is the mini size. I did try on the small, but the small for me was just a little bit too large, especially as I wanted to wear it primarily as an evening bag. So I thought this was the best size for me, and I'm really happy with my decision. It can fit a lot in as well, so that's another really great thing. Some mini bags are so mini that you can barely fit your phone in, but I can fit in my phone, some makeup, a card holder, my keys, a hairbrush, pretty much everything that I need. So really impressed with it, and I would definitely recommend this if you're looking at getting something similar. Now for a little break from bags, I thought I would include a pair of shoes in this update video, and these are the Louboutin Pigalle Folies, I think the name is. I'll double check that and I'll leave the exact name down below, but I think that's what these are called. And I decided to get these after having my first pair of Louboutins, which you may be able to see on the shelf. I'm not actually sure if you can, but I had bought my first pair of Louboutins and I tried to wear them a few times. They were so uncomfortable, and so I abandoned them for a really long time, and then I decided to make a really concerted effort to actually try and break them in rather than just, you know, wear them for half an hour and complain that they hurt. And I did finally manage to make them a bit more comfortable. Don't get me wrong, they are never going to be slippers or super comfortable shoes. That's just not what they are, and I accept that. But I did get to the point where I could wear them for an evening out and not absolutely die in pain. And so I thought I would treat myself to these, which off the bat were already slightly more comfortable. And I think it's because the Pigalle Folies, and correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows lots about Louboutin shoes, because I really don't, but apparently they have a slightly more cushioned sole, which I do think ups the comfort factor a little bit. And then of course I've also been trying to break them in as well. If you guys want a video on how to break in shoes, then I was thinking about doing that, and perhaps even doing, I don't know whether it would be a separate or a combined video on a kind of designer shoe review, because I do have a few different pairs now and I've never really done a whole video review on them. So if that's something that you want to see, then let me know. But I've been making a concerted effort to break these in, and they are slowly getting there. Definitely not super comfortable again. I think we need to manage expectations, but they're comfortable enough for me to wear them, and I absolutely love the look of them. They're very high, so these are the 100mm. I think they're just so beautiful. The shape is very, very classic. I love the patent leather. I just think they're really stunning shoes. So not practical, but I'm very glad I have them, and they just seem to go with everything as well. Even if you're just wearing a pair of jeans, they really elevate the look and then just turn something quite mundane into something a bit more special. So I love these. I think they are very, very stunning. Next up is my Givenchy Antigona. I'm not going to talk about this one too much. I did do a whole review video on this pretty recently, so I'll link that down below if you want a really in-depth look at this bag. But I've really been enjoying this. I bought it in the later part of 2016. I forget which month exactly, but I've had it a fair few months now, and it's something that I reach for really consistently, which I'm so pleased about because I was a bit nervous buying it. It isn't something I traditionally reach for, and that's why I went for it pre-love, because I just wasn't sure if it was something that I would really get on with, and I wanted to minimize any losses if I were to resell it. So I did go for it pre-loved. I got it for a great price, I think, but I've been so happy with it, and I have no intention of selling this bag at the moment. I think it's totally gorgeous. The shoulder strap isn't as functional as I would like, as I mentioned, but it's still functional enough that I can use it for those emergencies where I do want it to be hands-free, which I love. But I just think more than anything, I just really, really love the look of it. And for me, I really didn't have something that was a smarter version of an everyday bag. So for everyday bags, I really need larger bags. I can't really get away with something really small like the Chloe Drew or anything. I need something which is a good size, which can carry my laptop if I need to. I wouldn't really pick this as a first choice for a laptop bag, but it is still really good for every day. If I know I'm not needing my laptop that day, then this is generally speaking the bag I reach for. I think it's very ladylike, even though it's quite boxy, which sounds a bit funny, but if I'm wearing something slightly more dressy, this is what I'm reaching for, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the colour. I like the fact that I went for a pale colour. The black I think is beautiful as well. I've just found this so useful and so versatile, and it's really been a go-to for me, and I'm also just excited to wear it every time, you know. In past bags where I've had top handles and they've become a bit of a burden, I've really not been excited to use them. This bag is completely different though. I've been really excited to use it. I love the look of it. I think it's just a really, really gorgeous functional bag. So pleased with my purchase. I really think this was a good one, and as I mentioned, I'm just really, really enjoying it. My last two bags are both Tory Burch totes, so I thought I would talk about them both together, especially as one of them is the Perry tote, and I've talked about this bag so much that I didn't really think I needed a whole segment on it. So I've had a few requests to compare them, so that's what I'm going to do. So my T block in black, and then also my Perry tote in the French grey colour. So this is what they both look like. As you can see, I think they're both really good looking totes. I really like the look of them a lot. The T-block tote is a bit more grown up looking though, I think. It's a bit more sleek, it has that beautiful subtle stamping, whereas the Tory Burch Perry is just a little bit more casual, I think, and it does have that Tory Burch emblem. So they are very comparable sizes. I'd say they're pretty much exactly the same. They can certainly fit very similar amounts. I would say the biggest difference between them though, apart from the fact that there is quite a big price difference, is the leather. So the Tory Burch Perry tote, and one of the reasons why I love this bag so much, does have this beautiful pebbled leather, which not only is very flexible, which is great if you're traveling with it and you know you want it to be quite malleable and soft, it's a really nice choice, but it's also really durable. So if you do get any marks on here, it's a lot easier to wipe clean, you don't really get any scratches, and it's just a very nice carefree bag. The same can't really be said of the T-block tote. It does have this beautiful shiny leather, which I think looks really good, but because it's this really shiny stiff leather, it is a lot less flexible than the Perry tote. So as you can see, you know, I can really just kind of fold over this leather and nothing happens to it. You know, this doesn't damage the bag at all. You can't even begin to do that with this bag, you know. If you even slightly bend it, it's going to crease the leather, and that crease is going to stay there, I think. So it's a lot stiffer, and you can even just see from the way they kind of stand up. This bag's natural position is just to kind of be open like that, whereas this bag is much more likely just kind of fold over like so. And so they do sit a bit differently. Some people might really like the really stiff, rigid look. For me, it's not quite as practical though, especially when traveling, you know, during rush hour. I'm often squeezing into really small spaces, you know, when I'm on the underground, and this bag just doesn't really do me any favors in that sense. You know, you really can't maneuver that well with it. You know, I do bump into people with this bag. Also, because the leather is this really shiny leather, it does have the habit of slipping off my lap. I have had it slip off my lap entirely onto the person sitting next to me on a train, which was so embarrassing. I was mortified. Thankfully, she was very nice and didn't seem to mind too much. But now, because of that, I really make sure to keep a hold on this bag and I don't let it go anywhere. So it is very shiny leather. You may not have this issue if you're just driving to work and you put this in your passenger seat, but if you're traveling on public transport and do manage to get a seat, it's definitely something to keep in mind. It also is a bit more prone to scratches as well, so I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I do have one long scratch right here, which is something that I did myself. So I forget whether I did it with my keys or with my nails, but I do remember doing it and then looking and be like, oh gosh, I didn't realise I had to be a bit more careful with this bag. Since then, I haven't had any other marks, so you know, just a little bit of extra care. I did think there was a massive scratch on there, but it's not, it's just the light, I think. I was worried I'd have to be super careful, but that hasn't been the case, and that's been the only incident where I have had a scratch on it, but definitely something to keep in mind. It isn't as carefree as the Perry tote. You do have to be a bit more careful with the leather, and obviously with the sliding and the space issues as well. And then finally, the only other thing that I kind of have to mention on the negative side of this bag is the straps. So the straps don't always kind of just flop down the right way, they kind of go a bit everywhere. They do sit absolutely fine on the shoulder, but because the bag is so boxy, it's not always a super neat fit, and occasionally it does slip off my shoulder, and I've never ever had that problem with the Perry tote. So for me, this wins hands down on functionality. It's just much more up my street. I really like that softer leather, and sometimes I've even used this as a prop for my laptop if I need a bit of extra height, and it's absolutely fine. I know I can do this with this bag because nothing will happen to the leather. I couldn't even begin to do that with this bag. You know, it is very stiff, it's very structured. Some people might like that though. I know lots of people really like rigid looking bags, so if you're in the market for something like this, I think it's a still a great choice. It is a little bit heavier as well, you know, the leather is nice quality, but it's not so heavy that it's an issue or anything. So still a lovely choice, and I still really like it, but if I had to pick a favourite, it would hands down be the Perry tote. And that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these items. I'll be happy to answer them down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.